All right, hi everyone. Welcome back to another Style ID webinar, talking about all things influencer marketing and getting your brains working and brainstorming to create your personal brand even better. Today we have the very, very handsome TK.
Watu. Sure.
Am I lying? We've got the handsome and extraordinary, awesome influencer content creator, TK, and a designer born in Limpopo, bred in Josie. What up, Josie? Boom, 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 boom. He's passionate
Zero.
about creativity and visual communication with a particular interest in South African streetwear and pop culture. He's going to be taking us through the ins and outs of influencer marketing. If you have any questions for him, please can you drop them in the Q&A box or the chat, whichever one, and then we'll get to the questions probably at the end of this presentation. But this is a very interactive space. Feel free to ask anything that is on your chest. If you have any qualms, if you're interested in anything, feel free to ask. He's here to help you in the best capacity that he can. So,
Yeah, I think.
okay, it is all yours. I'm going to sign off on my video and I'll be back for the Q&A.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Linda.
No problem.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to be taking you guys through influencer marketing, basically the ins and outs of like what we're doing in this like new space. So first and foremost, I'll just state that, guys, I'm not a professional. I didn't study like social media marketing and all of that stuff. It's just things that I've picked up along the way as like I've taken this journey and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll do my best to like give you really good tips and give you like some insight on what it's like, how to get your brand started and everything. So the first point that I'm going to touch on is like starting up with your personal brand, like the beginning steps of the personal brand that you're building or the influencer brand that you're building. Um, for me, I think it was very important to have like an idea, a rough idea of what you're trying to achieve. Um, you know, like sketch out basically what you want to achieve with it. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to be like super popular and be a celebrity, or do you want to like work with like brands um, um on a creative like level, or like just always have an idea of what you want to do with your brand and what you want to represent and how you want to be represented as well. So what I did in the beginning was I brainstormed. I had a look at what the guys were doing in the space. Like you had your Tato, Mahapas, you had like Seth, you had Menzi, you had all these guys that were like in the influencer space. And I just kind of looked at what they were doing, saw like how they were representing themselves visually and what they were trying to do with themselves. I kind of picked up a few things that I don't want to do and a few things that I do want to do. So I think it's kind of important to look at many people that are in that field, like in the field that you're trying to get into. So I was looking into fashion and I looked at a lot of like fashion influencers, like ladies, I looked at guys, and I was just kind of putting together the best blueprint that I'd like to follow. So I think that's really important, to really have a look at what people are doing and really like study what's happening in what you're trying to do, like in the fashion influencer scene. That's what I studied. So if you want to be like a fitness influencer, or you want to be a food influencer, the Instagram chefs and all of that are really big now. It's important to look at what everybody else is doing, because then you can sort of pick up that I want my aesthetic to look like this. There's saturation in this part of it. Like if there was saturation in formal wear, I would go streetwear. If there's saturation in streetwear, then I would go formal. Like always try to look for gaps that you can expose when you want to be an influencer. So I think another important thing was, am I really passionate about what I'm going to be doing? So, I think being very authentic and true to yourself is very important with when you're planning out your brand and you kind of like starting to decide what you're going to do with it, because it'll show. Like it'll really show that this person is not really passionate about it, and you'll get bored of it, and it'll start feeling like a drag. So I think it's very important to actually think and look at what you're passionate about when you're looking to be an influencer. You can't influence things that you're not necessarily passionate about, because it just comes off as you are selling me a product. And I think posts and influencers that are like showing me that they're just selling me a product and not really passionate about what they're doing show really, really quickly. And I think people can actually pick that up very quickly. So I think it's very important to stay true to yourself, very authentic to what you're doing. Um, and then from there, like once I decided that I want to do fashion influencing, I want to be a streetwear influencer, because I wasn't really getting many streetwear influencer vibes from, you know, the local scene. I mean, they were there, but I didn't think that I did think that I have something different to offer. And that's also very important, like knowing that what you've got to offer is something different, or finding a gap and looking for something different to offer is really important. So I looked at it, I figured out my passion, and then I started thinking about my aesthetic. Like what's my aesthetic gonna look like? How do people shoot? How do people edit? How do people achieve a social media aesthetic? And I think like bloggers are like really amazing, because they curate like their feeds and everything just looks so nice and so like beautiful. And I really wanted to know how to do that. At the time I had like no equipment and basically just using my phone, but I decided to like take it further and like learn how to use my phone better and learn how to like actually get good quality content. And I think learning before you start is really important, because like it is also a visual space. Like if something doesn't really look good visually, then people are most likely not going to interact with it, unless you've got like a really dope personality and lots of people know you anyway. Then, you know, I think it's very important to balance art, personality, and the actual content. So I learned how to use my phone and how to like maximize what I can do with my phone. And I think that's really important to note. Like I think people must start with what they have, number one, and maximize what you have. Use it to the best of your abilities. So what I did then was inform myself on the apps. So I think you've got to like be really, really informed with what each social media app does. So with that, like a sub point to that is prioritizing which which apps I wanted to use, like to represent myself and to like be this amazing social media influencer. Now, Instagram is the obvious option. I think that was the first place that I went to make any content, because there's just so many users of Instagram. And I think that like when there's so many different people on Instagram, there's many different people that I can reach. So I decided to, you know, prioritize Instagram and make content on Instagram. And that's not the route that you always have to take though. You know, people can start on YouTube and like be very like well known on YouTube and then like spill into Instagram, or start on Twitter and then spill into Instagram and YouTube, etc. But I think that it's very important to prioritize one app, because you can't be like a jack of all trades all at once. Like I would believe that I'd rather build a very strong following on one app. Like if I build a strong following on Twitter, and all of those people like really love me, they love my tweets, they love my personality and everything, whatever. And then I tell them like, guys, I'm starting Instagram and this is my Instagram handle. I'd like to believe that there will be more conversion with those people than if I had started like everything all at once. So I kind of prioritized Instagram. I said, my Instagram is going to be where all my content is going to go. And I just started creating. I think like um, it's also another important thing to set goals. And goals in influencing are very unpredictable, because everything kind of like fluctuates. You can get like really high engagement today and then tomorrow your engagement is super low. So I think setting goals, I was setting monthly goals that I really wanted to reach. So I would say, for instance, when I started, I think I had about 1,000 followers on Instagram 2 years ago. Yeah, I had about 1,000 followers on Instagram 2 years ago. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try gain 200 followers a month. and that was my goal each month. And what I had to get there was what I had to do to get there, sorry, was basically post as much as I can. So I took a challenge on myself to create a piece of content a day, and this was like um to help me achieve this goal that I'd set before. Like before I'd made any content, I set myself a goal. I want to gain 200 followers a month, and I'll engage with every. I think one of the things that I've really kept consistent is I try to engage with every single one of my followers. Like if somebody comments, if somebody sends me a DM, if somebody's like, I try to engage as much as I can, because it just makes me more like connected to the people that I'm following. I know what they want from me, I know what they like from me, and I don't have to like basically assume what people will want from me. So what I did was I started creating the content, and this is bringing me into the second topic of this webinar, which is building your portfolio. Building the portfolio was fun. Like I think this is the stage, like the beginning stage of building your portfolio is like extremely fun. It's when you really should have the most fun and be like completely crazy and be um, as out of the box as you can, because this is when you also have to stand out. Like I believe that the beginning is when you really have to stand out and really be associated with something. So if I've chosen my niche as fashion, and my posts are all about cars, then I'm not following what I had chosen for myself, number one, and I'm not going to be associated with fashion. So, I kind of like took the beginning part of building my portfolio as the building blocks of my brand. So, when I was trying to get my audience, I was trying to get a lot of people that are fashion inclined and fashion interests them, and people like are kind of interested in fashion but also interested in me, because a lot of things I would post would be like very personal things about me, like things that like um close people to me would know, and not necessarily people that are very far from me would know. So I tried to make it as personal as I could, but also link it with the fashion niche that I had chosen. Sorry, I am extremely cold. Um, so now there was also a question that I'd posed to myself, is deciding whether I wanted people to be like I wanted to be relatable to people, or I wanted people to aspire to be like me. And this is also like another thing that can, if you decided in the beginning of building your portfolio, can be like a very interesting journey. um so what I mean by aspiring to be like you, and in South Africa, like not everybody can afford the Louis Vuittons and the Gucci's and all of that stuff, but people want, and people want to own that stuff. So if I'm only posting Louis and Gucci and all these designer brands that are super expensive, I'm not really coming down as a relatable person, which is like, there are pros to that and there are cons to that. I think that one of those pros is that people are always looking to do better in life and afford better things and like have the finer things in life. So influencers that are like focused on being aspired to, or people aspiring to them, will always kind of do really well, because people enjoy seeing a nice lifestyle, like seeing what could be, um whereas if I wanted to be relatable, and which was the direction I chose to take, because I myself, for one, couldn't afford the Louis and the Gucci's and all of that stuff. So what I decided to do was, I'm going to style things that are affordable. I'm going to give people an alternative to like very, very expensive influencers, like influencers that are showing us like really expensive lifestyles that we actually can't comprehend. And that's perfectly fine. I think like, there's nothing wrong with those influencers that look to create an aspiration to life, because it's nice to see, like it's very nice to see people doing well for themselves, and nice to see people wearing nice things. I love designer clothes. I love looking at designer clothes as well. So there's that element of it, but I also really like to be relatable. Like if I wanted the highest engagement that I could get at the time, I think it would be like, where did you get this? And then I say Cotton On, or I say Mr. Price, which is something that's relatable to someone, because they can actually walk in and buy that same top that I was wearing at Cotton On or Mr. Price. So building your portfolio and deciding whether you want to be like aspirational or a relatable content creator is kind of like, important. Um, in that building of your portfolio, I think that it's very important to also create as much content that's relevant to the niche that you've picked, because that's where we're building like our association between you and the niche. So I had to make sure that I was posting. At the time, I was very interested in like sneakers, and I was posting as many sneakers as I could, taking as many photos of sneakers that I could, because I just wanted to be like associated with like sneakerhead culture, and it was before I was into like styling and all of that. Like that's where I started, by posting a lot of sneakers, like people wearing sneakers, and sometimes it wasn't even sneakers that I owned. Like it was sneakers that I went to the shop and took a picture of, or sneakers that I saw at Sneaker Exchange, or whatever the case may be. But I made sure that all the content that I was pushing out was content that was actually relevant to the niche that I had picked, which was fashion. So I think it's very important to associate you, to create a strong association between yourself and the niche that you've picked, because that's what we're going to know you for. And I I like that element of being known for something, because it actually means that, one, you're good at what you're doing. So if I'm um, creating fashion content, and like my fashion content is like really amazing, everybody's gonna know me as TK, the fashion guy, or the guy that posts a lot of fashion. And I think that's like also quite important when we speaking about brands, but I'll touch on that a little bit later. So this is also a point where you have to prioritize the social media app that you want to take on. I think I've touched on that. Like you have to choose one app that you really want to use, and an app that you really want to use to gain a lot of engagement, and to sort of build your portfolio on. And I think it's important that you choose one, master that, then you move on to the next one. So um, this is also when you set the tone of like what your brand is. Like when you begin building your brand, you have to set um, a good tone. Like you have to set a good pace, which would be like consistency for me. Like in the beginning parts of building your brand, you've got to be extremely consistent. Like that's where like consistency means everything, because you're literally fighting for every like and fighting for every follower that you get. And being consistent really, really does help with that. I think it's the most cliched comment that people make, but I think it's the most relevant comment as well. Like you've got to be like really, really, really consistent if you want to build engagement, number one, and if you want to gain followers. And that's also going to drive you to the monthly goal that what drove me to the monthly goal that I had set for myself. So yeah, then there's the content element of it, like creating like really, really good content. And I'm I'm a very passionate person about creativity. I'm very passionate about being out of the box, and very passionate about like not following any norms. So this is when you can like completely go crazy and be as creative as you want. And like basically go I say go out of your way to be creative. Go out of your way to stand out. Like when I was styling my first outfits, I was like going completely crazy. Like there will be people that like frown at you and everything, but that's when like you're doing your job, like you're making statements. And like I think it's important to be as creative as you can and be as expressive as you can, because like social media is just a creative extension, or platforms where we can extend our creativity, man. Like it's a different way to like put yourself out there. Like it's a completely different way to express yourself. So why wouldn't you express yourself as much as you can? Because social media has given us the ability to create a persona, basically a social media persona that can go crazy with whatever idea they want to go with. And I think what I'm passionate the most about is the fact that you can actually just go completely crazy. You can be whoever you want to be on social media. You've got to keep it authentic and everything, but you can just express all of your ideas and express everything about you on social media. And I think that's like one really good element of social media. And also what that helps you with is not fit into like what other people are doing. So very often I see like people doing something similar, or people are like putting out putting out content that looks similar. So this would be like with Lightroom filters, like people having the same Lightroom filters, or people like having similar style pictures and everything. That's when I'm just like, okay, we becoming a bit too uniform. So let's let people like, you know, go completely crazy. Like, don't follow exactly what somebody else's blueprint is. I think you've got to create your own blueprint and be as creative as you can. Um, so that you don't basically fall into another pool of an influencer that's using another Lightroom filter, or an influencer that has pictures that look similar to another influencer and all of that. Like, I think you've got to really, really express yourself in the beginning stages of creating a brand. That's the best part of starting out, because you kind of set your own boundaries to your social media, or set your own boundaries to who you want to be on social media. And that is really, really good. Like when people set themselves apart, I just look at it and I'm like, kisses fingers. um so another thing that I really encourage is, don't be afraid to let your followers in. Like, don't be afraid to let your followers into who you are. Like, don't be afraid of being personal and like being very in touch and letting them in. Now it goes to a point, like don't let them in so far that they like know everything about you and your address and all of that stuff. But I like to get personal with my people, because I think it helps with the engagement. Number one, you feel like you're part of my family. You feel like you feel like we could actually be friends, and that's perfectly fine, because we could. Like, don't be afraid to let your followers in. And I used to post like really, really personal posts, which I don't think I would do now, but I definitely see the benefit of it, because I've built like quite long lasting relationships with some of my followers, like people that I've never even met. But we've engaged so much on things that concern me, and sometimes that concern the followers, because you never know, like by being personal and vulnerable and everything, you might be allowing somebody else to be personal and vulnerable. So I think it's really, really important that let them in, like let them feel part of like a little family. And I think one of the best people that do that and like make people feel a part of their family is K Republic. And I think also Sibu Mbanza and Sheffield. They really like make you feel like you're part of their family. They bring you very, very close into them, which is amazing, because it builds a really, really loyal band of followers. Like, you know it builds a really amazing band of followers, guys. Like, and I think that's one of the best things that can happen, because they'll always stand for you. Like, they'll always be there. They'll always be supporting your content. Like, they will really help push your content. And I think that's also really amazing. Whenever you've got a band of followers that are loyal, you know that they'll expose you to their following. Like, they'll share you on their stories. They'll talk about you and everything. Like, that will bring more people in. Like, it'll really attract more people into your following, because as soon as somebody posts you on their story, just know that you've tapped into their followers. And I think that's also a really key thing to do: build long lasting social media relationships. um like I think the last note on creating captivating content is that the creativity will diversify you from your competitors. Now, I don't think you're competing with anybody when you're on social media. I don't think they're a competition. I think you guys exist in the same space. But the moment you start treating it like competition, I personally don't do that because I don't think I've got any competitors, and I don't think that I should look at them as competitors. There's people that you can be inspired by. You can be inspired by people in the same pool as you and everything, but I don't call them competitors. I think it's just people that I want to, be on the same level with, or push myself to be on your level. And I think that's being creative and creating creative content will really, really diversify you from people that are in the same pool as you. And just being different and creating content that's like seen as different or really um creative will set you apart. Like it will really, really set you apart. When I love seeing a photograph of somebody that's really put effort into it. You can see that it's directed, it's styled, and like they've really taken the time out to really plan out a post, because that really makes me feel like, damn, you really are doing that. And though that's the content that I really do subscribe to, like content that people really put effort into. um really, really makes me happy. Um, and now, okay, so now you've created you've decided what you want to do with your brand, you've created some content, and you're actually looking to make some money out of this. Now, you've got to reach out to brands and agencies. Reaching out to brands and agencies is one of the best things that you can do for yourself. Now, the best way to do this, and a way that I really um, encourage for everyone, a way that I didn't know about when I started. It's one of the things that I really wish that I knew, is media kits, PR kits, press kits, whatever. Like those are the best way that you are going to put yourself out there to the agencies and to the brands. Like, so, okay, a media kit is like basically a short summary of who you are, what you do, um, what you're interested in. It includes photographs of you. It's like a really nice presentation of you, on one page or maybe two. Now, the media kit that I have for myself basically just summarizes who I am, shows a few pictures of me doing what I do, like a few pictures that are on my Instagram. It also shows like my numbers. You basically summarize your insights, how many engagements do you get, how many um, like it sums up all the numbers that you would see on your insights page on Instagram. So your reach, your engagement, how visible you are in people's timelines. And like PR kits have been the best thing that's happened to me, because you send them out, and even though you might not get a reply immediately from the brand or the agency, just know that there's always somebody looking. Like there's always somebody that's looking out. And these agencies and the brands, they have scouts. I mean, they've got people that are looking out and seeing different people's content. So when you take that step, like that initiative to send them something, it's like, sometimes it's very appreciated by them, number one, because you've made their job a little bit easier by putting your name out there. You've summarized what your rates are, you've summarized how well your posts do, how well your social media does. It's basically you selling yourself to the agency or to the brand. And I think like by doing that, you've just already basically created a conversation around you in that agency. So they also help. Building a relationship with an agency is one of the best things that you can do, because they are the ones that end up getting the contracts from the brands anyway. So I think building relationships with the agency more than building with a brand um, will help you, get you a lot of work, because agencies also have a very broad spectrum of brands that they work with. So if you've got like agency A, and they work with Mr. Price and Cotton On and Superbalist, versus you, and you approach them, they could send your media kit and your press kit to all of those brands, or put your name forward for a campaign that's done by any of those brands, versus you approaching Mr. Price. Like, you've kind of just limited your options if you approach the brand versus approaching agencies. So I think it's very important for people to research top agencies, like research top 10 agencies in South Africa, see what comes up, click on their site, go onto their contact us page, find emails that you can send your press kit to, send your press kit, send your media kit in a very friendly worded email. Don't just send it as a picture and go. But, like, send your press kit to the agencies. Do some research on which agencies perform the best, which agencies work with influencers, which ones don't. Like, I think it's important to build a relationship with agencies, and those agencies are going to um, like look for jobs for you, especially if your content is good and you've got good relations with them as well. They'll look for jobs for you, and it actually does make things a lot easier finding jobs and making money. So initiative does go a long way, and taking the effort does get appreciated by them. So yeah, send as many proposals and as many media kits and press kits as you can. Like, if you take a day out, you can send like to 20-30 different brands, type of thing. Like, you've got to really take a lot of initiative in the beginning, because like nobody's really looking out for you. You haven't really made a name for yourself. So why would that brand work with you versus working with somebody who's bigger that they've worked with before? So your initiative is like imperative at the stage. Like, you've just got to take as much initiative as you can, create as much content as you can as well. Because you're not going to take initiative and then they go on your page and your last post was like 3 weeks ago. So you've got to be like really consistent at that stage, like when you like starting out and building a following. So yeah, what comes next is like, now brands are starting to reach out to you, because obviously you followed TK's advice. You've sent out a bunch of press kits and everything, and they're coming back to you. They say, wow, we love your content, would love to work with you. Here's a brief for a campaign. And this is one of the places where I do kind of fight with brands sometimes, because when they send you a brief, and then they say, we want the content to look like this. This is the content, and this is the wording, and this is such and such and such. But now you like limit. Sometimes it limits the creativity, and it limits what you can do with content, because some briefs actually tell you to the point what you have to do. And for me, like, this is just a side note. Like, for me, whenever a brief does tell me what I can and can't do, it kind of like, it throws me off. But when you're starting out, you don't really have options. You don't really like have the option to say, no, actually, I don't want this because it doesn't tailor my needs. You're trying to make some money, and you're trying to work with as many brands as you can, so that you have like a portfolio, like that you can put on your media kit. Your media kit also shows how many brands and which brands you've worked with, just to prove like some more credibility. So yeah, fine. They send you a brief. Now you have to interpret it into a piece of content. And this is where you've just got to be creative. And this is also where the passion part that I was talking about plays a big role. When you're passionate of something, you are going to go out of your way to make good content for it. Like, you will literally brainstorm. You'll spend most of your time brainstorming, and then by the time that you're done brainstorming, you realize that, geez, I've got 2 days left to create this content. But like, that's when you're passionate about something. That's like you putting your all into it. So now, if you're not passionate about something that you're creating content about, this is where it shows, because the content isn't that creative. It's basically just you selling me a product. Like, if I've got a pair of glasses and I'm passionate about fashion, I'm going to style all of these glasses with different hats. I'm going to style them with a bald head and all of that. Like, like, I'm going to go out of my way to make these glasses look really, really amazing. Versus somebody who like puts them on, takes a picture, and then they're like, this is the content, I'm done. that's also fine. Like, you don't have to be passionate about every single job that you do, but I think that if you are passionate about what you're doing, then it's auto, like it'll flow into your work automatically, like a lot easier than if, you know, you just yeah, like I think just always be passionate about what you do. Don't just take a picture and then kind of upload it. Always go out of your way to think through the content and really like to create a very nice concept for the content. um and that's also a big part of what we do. We have to like change briefs, like words, into actual pictures or videos, and that's fun. Like, I really enjoy creating the content. Like, that's one of the best things that we do. Like, we get a brief, get paid for like being creative. Like, that's really amazing. So yeah, interpreting briefs is really fun, and it should be fun, and it should be authentic to you. It should be personal to you as well. Like, if you're selling me a pair of glasses and you tell me these glasses are so amazing, you can shop them at Oakley. It's different to me telling you like, wow, I've been wearing these glasses, like they block out the sun, they're really, really amazing. They're light. They're like, I'm telling you a personal experience of the product. And I think that's a lot more convincing when I'm selling something to someone than if I just, you know, tell them how amazing the glasses that I'm wearing are and then post the picture. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think make everything as personal as you can. So personalize every user experience that you do have, and that'll really, really help you make more convincing content. Um, what tools, you know, like, am I using to make content? One thing I can tell you is that you don't really need the most expensive camera. You don't need the most expensive lens. You don't need the most expensive video camera, or whatever the case may be. Your phone, guys. Many of the phones that we have now have got full HD video. They've got like really good picture quality. So, you know, this is all, like, your phone is really all you need to make content. Like, I think there's this misconception that like you need a camera and all of that. And a camera, yes, it'll make your content better quality. I'm not denying that by any means, but I can definitely tell you that starting with your phone, learning how to maximize the usage of your phone. Like, I used to look at so many tutorials of how to make my camera quality better, my picture quality better on my phone, and how to shoot really amazing videos from my phone. I think it's like very, very important that people learn how to use their phone cameras and maximize what they can do with their phone cameras. So yeah, I mean, your phone is really what you need. And then when you're ready, you've made some money on from influencing and all of that, then you move on to buying cameras, and you know, you start looking at content upgrades. But what you do need to start, and what you do need to make good, you can make really good content with your phone. um so yeah, I think it's just learning how to use your phones really, really well. That's going to really help you. And yeah, like you know, guys, like, the camera versus phone chat is just a completely different topic on its own. But I definitely believe that you are able to make content from your phone, and that's how I started. I think that's how most of us started anyway. Like, most influencers started with cell phone pictures and not really using cameras, because we didn't all just begin with a camera. And if you were fortunate enough to begin with a camera, then that's like great. But like, it doesn't mean that people that were making content with their phones are any like less able to make content. Like, you can make perfectly fine content with your cell phone. So, you know, you've taken your photo, you've created your content, and now it's time to edit your content. What apps or programs should you be using to create your content? Now, I've got a few fundamental apps that you need, mainly the Adobe Suite. So you can get Lightroom on your phone, you can get Premiere on your phone, you can get Spark on your phone. So Premiere and Spark are video editing apps that are really amazing. if you've got an iPhone, you can use iMovie to edit your videos. But Lightroom is one that I think is an essential for everybody that's trying to make content. Lightroom will help you edit your photos and like just make them really really good. You can grade your photos. You can just take your photo that you've taken on your phone or on your camera, whatever the case may be, and take it to the next level by editing on Lightroom. Like it lets you play with colors. You can download filters. It's like a really really amazing app. Second to that is Visco. Now, ViscoCam has been around with us for quite some time. I think that was the pioneer app for me. Like that was the app that I used to take a picture, throw it on Visco, put a filter, and just adjust some light and everything, make sure it's perfect, and post. Visco is just one of those apps that I'll never ever delete. It's an app that I'll forever need. It'll never be irrelevant. I think it's something that everybody should definitely have. Then I use Snapseed. So Snapseed is what I use for some. There's a few posts that I do that I've got like text, and if I want to make it look like a magazine, then I use Snapseed. And those are really all the apps that you need on your phone. So I'll go back. It's Premiere and iMovie for videos. Then you've got Premiere Rush or Spark Video for video. And then you've got Lightroom for photographs and Visco for photographs as well. So those are the apps that I really, really use all the time to edit my photos, edit my videos. And then when I want to edit my stories, I use an app called Unfold. Unfold is really amazing because it comes with templates. Like all you have to do is literally double click on the template and then click where you want to put different photos or whatever the case may be, or make your stories really beautiful. And some of these things is where you use your own creativity to like make something beautiful. I think it's very important to still note that you still have to be creative to make like a beautiful story, and you still have to be creative to edit a photo correct and not have it overexposed and not look too brown or too yellow or look too orange or look too red. It's like finding that balance and looking as close to yourself as possible is what I subscribe to. There's people that really don't care how close it looks to their skin tone, and that's perfectly fine. But I try to look as close to my skin tone as I can, and just make the photo really, really good, but also keep it so that if you see me on the street, you're not like, that's not the guy. So yeah, I think in terms of software and apps, that's what I use. Now I do edit on my computer, and I edit with Lightroom desktop. I edit with Premiere Pro desktop and Photoshop sometimes. But those, like if you really not into like putting things onto your computer and like being very finicky about details, then using those mobile apps is perfectly fine. I did forget one. I forgot Facetune. Facetune is like an amazing app. Like Facetune is an amazing retouching app that you can use to like, soften out your skin if you need to soften out your skin, take out some blemishes, etc., etc. Like it's basically Photoshop but on your phone, so you can like do completely crazy things with your pictures. Like people are doing the most amazing things with Facetune, and I think everybody should get it. So yeah, I think what comes next now, you've edited your photos or whatever the case may be. Now you've got to decide which social media apps you're gonna use to distribute your content. Like, where do you want to post everything that you've just taken or the content that you've just created? Now, for me, Instagram was the one for me because Instagram is just amazing for photos and video. There are so many users on Instagram. All of my friends have Instagram. Everybody that I know had Instagram, and everyone that was supporting me had Instagram. So I kind of just, I didn't even think about it that deep, but I think it's something that you should take into consideration. But Instagram was really the place that I just went to automatically because, it's just, I mean, I don't think there's a bigger social media app than Instagram, arguable. But I think right now it's the most relevant. So that's what I used. I used Instagram to distribute most of my content when I was beginning. Now, that's all photo content, whatever the case may be. If you've shot video content and you're looking for something different, YouTube is an amazing platform to use. Like, I think with YouTube, what's amazing is that like you get a sense of being close to the person. Like on a photo, I can't really tell what your personality is. I can't really tell what you're into. Like I don't really know much about you by looking at a photo and a caption. So when I see you like on YouTube and you shooting a vlog of like what you do and everything, you've included me in basically a whole day in your life, or you've included me in a part of what you do in your life. And I think that's just so much closer to who you are, or a closer reflection of who you are than Instagram. So I think if you want to build, like, I think YouTube, my journey in YouTube has shown me that building a loyal following on YouTube is really amazing, because they spill over into your Instagram, and they're just so amazing because the subscribers that you have on YouTube, they basically know who you are. They know most things about you. Like they know a lot of things about you that you've put out there. And I think people really do enjoy that aspect of being included in your life. Like I know a lot more about you, so I'll obviously follow your Instagram and I'll obviously follow your Twitter, versus Instagram where we don't know much about you and what we see is visual content, which is fine. I mean, people can probably vlog and put on IGTV or whatever the case may be, but like YouTube, I feel is a lot more personal, and it drives like your numbers completely crazy. When we joined YouTube, our numbers weren't like super amazing, whatever the case may be. I didn't have crazy engagement, but like after YouTube, everything has like completely changed, because we've got so many different people that came from YouTube and basically like flooded the comments and like were so nice and like were liking and sharing and all of like distributing the content with me, which is amazing. Like I think YouTube creates a very, very family dynamic. It creates a very, very like close, it's a very close knit family type of dynamic. So now you've got Twitter, which is a very conversational platform. I think I really enjoy Twitter because of how lighthearted it is. It is um, very fun to interact with people on Twitter, like have a laugh, have a joke, and everything. So I don't really use Twitter as a promotional tool, but I do know that the people that I do meet on Twitter and the people that I bring from Twitter to my Instagram are really supportive and really, really nice. Now, a big point that I'm going to make is that when you do have different social media platforms, you have to incorporate all of them into each other. Like on my Twitter, I'll go and post like stuff that I posted on Instagram, or link it back to my Instagram, and my Instagram sometimes I use to link back to my Twitter. YouTube, we always link it to our Instagram. We always link every single YouTube video that we shoot. We'll always have a link to our Instagrams, because the YouTube people just love visual content. So yeah, I think you've got to like really mesh all of those social media apps together, so that you've got like a huge force or a huge following of people that like support your content from many different apps type of thing. So now there's an emerging app right now that's like completely crazy. I think it's probably one of the most relevant apps right now, which is TikTok. TikTokers have like completely like outshone everybody during this lockdown. I think I've seen more TikTok videos than I've seen IGTVs or whatever. Like people are really, really using TikTok, and I think people are really having fun with it. I still have to figure it out myself. I don't know like what type of content I would create on TikTok, but I think it's a very like worthy mention. Like people are using it to actually create really, really good content, and it's an app that has to be definitely considered. So if someone's starting out now, then definitely have a look at all of these apps, see which one you would really, really love to prioritize, but don't rule out the possibility of like using all of them to kind of create backlinks into each other and move them with each other and become like a holistic social media force, versus being like really popular in Instagram but not having much conversation on Twitter, and then being really popular on Twitter, but then your Instagram isn't really like, communicate, like they must communicate with each other, these apps, in my personal opinion, if you want to be like a social media force. So, Facebook, I won't really mention, because for me, I didn't really use Facebook. I don't think I'll ever use Facebook again. So, yeah, I think um, that and collaborating with agencies and PR agencies will like really elevate your game. Because if I take Style ID, for example, Style ID are like really amazing, because every single person that's registered as the influencer, you can basically approve for them to post your posts on their Instagram. And what that does is that you tap into the Style ID following, and you tap into like the people that are already in Style ID. And that's like really amazing for me, because I don't see many PR agencies that deal with their clients or people that they've dealt with like that. I don't really see PR agencies posting people that they've dealt with on their pages. So that's really dope. Like collaborating with PR agencies that are going to be another backlink that's basically gonna um, not verify you, but like solidify the portfolio of brands that you've worked with is really amazing. I think being with many different um, social media followings, and tapping into many different social media followings will really, really help you um, um, achieve what you want to achieve, which is obviously it's a numbers game. So followers and likes and comments are really, really important. So if you are being posted on many different people's pages, you're tapping into all of those people's following, which is like best case scenario. um so yeah, I think after you've distributed your content, it's just now engaging with your people that like, people that comment. Like, guys, treat people like, not treat them like they're your friends, but treat them like they're close to you, because essentially followers are the reason why we get our work. Followers are the reason why a lot of this is possible, because if you didn't have any followers, you don't have the influence. So I think it's very important to always show them the love that they give you, and basically interact with them as much as possible. I think that's, I said this earlier in the webinar, that I 100% interact with my followers as much as I can, because like, those are the people that allow me to do like really awesome things, and like I share this journey with. So I always, always, always engage with them, interact with them whenever it's possible. Like, I don't think that should even be like optional, but each to their own. Some people don't really feel the need to, which is perfectly fine if that's how you want to go about it. um you know Struggles, like what struggles can you expect? I think consistency is one of the biggest struggles that you'll find. Like, it's very, very difficult to be consistent on social media. um there are spells, like, and portions of your time that are really like super consistent. Like, I'm posting every single day, and sometimes even twice a day. But then there's those times where you post like once a week, and you're just like trying to get into the groove. And also, I think that also highlight the human element of social media. Like, sometimes you do have burnout, and sometimes you do actually just feel like, I don't want to do this right now. And that's perfectly fine. Like, I think you mustn't put so much pressure on yourself to do this that you actually lose out on that element of like, okay, I don't feel like doing this right now. I'm not in the right mental space. I think another thing about social media is that you've got to be in an amazing mental space to be on social media, because sometimes people will criticize you, people will bash you, and all of that stuff. And if you're not able to take that, then or you're not in the right mental state to take that, then it does take a toll sometimes, guys. So there's that element of it, the human element of being a influencer. And I think it also needs to be taken into consideration. Like, you're not going to be able to create a piece of content for 365 days, guys. Like, take your time with it. Don't put so much pressure on yourself that you actually suffer a burnout, and you also suffer a breakdown, like mentally. um I think also people putting pressure on themselves to be perfect or present themselves in a perfect manner. Like, guys, we are like evolving beings. Like, we're always learning. We're always like, we're always learning to be better people. So, you're not going to be a perfect person. And also another thing with that is like maintaining a lifestyle that sometimes people can't afford. Don't go out of your way to make a lifestyle that you can't afford. Be you, be very authentic to you. And that's the biggest selling point that you can have, versus somebody that like tries to maintain a lifestyle that, one, they can't afford. That's going to leave you very bad financially. Two, isn't sustainable to them. Like, if something's not sustainable to you, you're only going to be able to do it for a week. Okay, let's say, okay, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You can't afford to do certain things, but you're doing them anyway. You're going to do them for a month. And then what happens after that? Like, you're going to end up in a situation where people think like you've dropped off or you've fallen off, and whatever the case may be. And I just think like people put so much pressure on themselves to have this perfect image and have this perfect um a utopian idea of like what life is supposed to be. And I don't think that's necessary. I think you've just got to be as true to yourself as you can be, and as close to yourself as you can be. I think you've got to be very, very self-aware. Like, okay, this is what I can do, and this is what I will do. Like, you can be creative within your means. Don't go out of your way to create expectation or a lifestyle that you can't really um maintain. Social media pressure, that definitely exists. And also giving people too much power over you will sometimes lead to like a mental breakdown, and sometimes even worse, into depression. Like, don't let social media put you under pressure, guys. Don't let the haters put you under pressure. I think it's very important that you just stay as authentic as you can, guys. Social media pressure exists, and do not fall for that trap. Do not fall for the trap, guys. Don't be a people pleaser. Don't be somebody who like goes out of their way to, make people happy and all of that stuff. There's no need for that, guys. Be as true to yourself as you can. I think the human element of social media is that it's a persona, guys. People will never really know the real you except for you. So why are you trying to like project an image of you that's like not necessarily true, you know? So be as true to yourself as you can. Be very kind to yourself. I think many people struggle with being kind to themselves because of how much negativity is put out on social media. Social media sometimes can be very, very negative. So, you know, it does sometimes filter down into you, and you just start feeling like very negative. And those are spells where I just leave social media. Like, I'll have moments where I'm just like, I'm done with this. Like, there's so much negativity that it's starting to get to me. I leave social media for a bit. So, another like uh geez, guys, I've gone over time. But another struggle within the influencer industry is like the negative outlook of the public towards influencers. Sometimes it's very discouraging. Sometimes you can actually feel like, geez, guys, like, like there's always so much hate going around for influencers. One, I think there's a few things that impact that. One being that it's so new. So whenever there's something new, the first thing is going against it. Like, I think the first reaction to change is pushing back. So yeah, like, I think that happens. And I think you just got to overlook it, put your bigger picture in your mind. This is what you want to achieve. Don't fall for the hate that's happening on social media. Don't fall for the pressure. um just always stick to who you are, what your goals are, work hard towards your goals. And what I wish I knew um, before I entered the space, I think that it would be how much work it is. In the beginning, I didn't take it that seriously because it wasn't really work. It wasn't really giving me a living. I was perfectly fine without it. And now I'm just like, geez, guys, this is a lot of work, and I would have prepared myself a lot better for the work. Like a lot of the tips that I've given you guys is basically me just learning from my mistakes. I didn't use like all of the tips that I gave you, but I definitely think that if I had known that it was so much work, I would have 100%, prepared myself for how much it actually was. So, yeah, guys, I think let me take some of your questions. I think that is basically all that I have for you. Um, and let's see, like, what some of the questions are. I've got 6 questions. Do you believe one can have 2 niches, or you must choose one for the best results? Okay, so the thing with picking a niche is that you don't have to pick a niche. Like you've got lifestyle influencers that influence everything. Like they make amazing food, they dress really well, they look really beautiful, they do like their makeup and everything. You can definitely be a jack of all trades. But I think when you're beginning, it's a lot easier to manage being like in one niche than it is to manage everything. So yeah, I think, you can definitely manage 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever your passions are, whatever your interests are, you can manage all of those as niches. Um, so yeah, is there a specific layout for it? I'm not sure what you're referring to.
She's
Uh,
referring to media kits.
okay, media kits you can design however you want. Like you can put them however you want. I don't think there's any blueprint of making media kits. I think just go completely crazy, put your images. Don't like, you know, we're not in like grade 4 where we're like mixing different colors and like 50 million text. Everything just looks completely crazy. Like, you know, have it tailored to like what looks really good. Maybe research some media kits, like go on Pinterest, um, have some reason. And I think that's something that I did miss in the live. Guys, research is everything. Research is like everything. I spend so much time on Pinterest, on Google. You've got so many features. You've got so many features on social media apps that help elevate your content and help make your content visible. Search engine optimization. You've got like YouTube that like really distribute your content for you. Like you just need to research what tools you can use in each of the social media apps to like elevate your content or like make your content more visible. Research the algorithms that Instagram and sometimes Twitter uses. Like what's gonna make you as visible as possible. Like I think you've got to do so much research. And then when you're tired of doing that research, do some more. Okay, how does your following have to be considered for brands and agencies? Okay, so for myself, I think what I did bring to the table was like creative content. Like I went out of my way to make like really, really creative content. So, followers didn't really define anything for me because I was working with brands when I didn't really have many followers. Sometimes you got influencers that have got like thousands of followers, but they don't really work with brands. So it also depends on what the brand wants you to wants to look at. But I definitely think that shoot your shot, guys. Don't don't look at your following and think, oh, I can't do this, I can't send it to a brand. Send that. Like you don't know what's gonna come out, you're not in control, so just send it and then see what happens. And yeah.
I just wanted to say something on the media kit with that question. I think it's a very good point when you're saying shoot your shot and that you brought forward creative content. So look at your media kit or your brand and see what is it that you are bringing to the brand. So you might have 1,000 followers, but your content is absolutely amazing and creative and authentic. So that's something that they might be looking for. So don't be discouraged by your following numbers or how much engagement you have. And again, shoot your shots. It's all about putting yourself on the page, basically.
If you're trying to be a fashion influencer, how do you cop the clothes without a massive budget? Look, guys, spend money to make money. Him. I won't lie to you. Like, there's money that we spend. There's money that you do spend to buy clothes to make content. It doesn't have to be a massive budget. I think anybody that follows me or follows Lwandile, my girlfriend, will know that we style like Mr. Price, we style Cotton On, and all of that stuff. Like, it's very rarely that you find me styling Zara things. Only recently I went on like a Zara spree or whatever the case may be. I think like finding things that are like very relatable to people is very important, guys. We're not all like millionaires, we're not Jeff Bezos or anything, you know. So I think if you're going to create valuable content for people, try to be relatable. So you know, we try as hard as we can to style things that we know that most people can get, because at the end of the day, that's the conversion that you're looking for. You're looking for people to go and actually buy products. So you know, if I'm styling a 4,000 rand jacket and you know only 2 of my followers can get that jacket, what are the chances that they're going to get that jacket versus me going to style Mr. Price items that like I can make look really good? And part of being creative is like working within your means. So you know, you've just got to like see what's worth it. If your budget is like screaming and saying no, then don't do it. But if you've got a bit of a budget and you can get a few items, 100% get them, style them, take pictures. You spoke about PR agencies. What are they mainly interested in seeing? um I don't know. I think Leander can answer this because um yeah, for me, I just
Um,
create.
well, we did have a webinar on this 2 weeks ago that you can find on the Style ID YouTube page, which is the Style ID Africa, and it can give you a whole lot of insights on what Style ID looks for in an influencer. But basically, it is about everything that TK has spoken about this throughout this whole webinar. We just want to make sure that you understand what it is to be an influencer. We're not looking for someone who takes selfies every day and has a killer following from taking those selfies. We need someone that's actually going out there and influencing people in having a buying brand, because that's the name of the business. That's we all out here trying to make money as well. So definitely go onto the Style ID YouTube page, Style ID Africa, and check out the webinar where we discuss all of that.
Perfect. What would be the best approach to trying to grow your Instagram following? Instagram following, I think number one, be as authentic as possible. Like, be as true to yourself as possible, interact with people, go on live, go on stories, you know, like interact as much as possible with people, let them into your personality. Number two would be consistency. um I think consistency matters the most with Instagram. um you know, I've taken it like on myself to basically be as consistent as I can right now. um and that's really really paid off. I've been getting quite a bit of followers a day, or you know, a week, or whatever the case may be. um I think being consistent, um creativity is very very important. I think you've got to be like really creative and try to stand out as much as you can. And you know, it's easier for me to say as a guy, because you know, guys aren't really in the space like that right now. um so you know, like, it's easier for me to say that because I know there's not many people to stand out from in terms of like streetwear and all of that stuff. So yeah, I would say try creators create like really creative content, be as creative as you can, and that should normally translate into more followers. um but I also just think like engage with people, guys. Go and tweet about your Instagram page. Go take a screenshot of your Instagram page, tweet about it, channel traffic through all of your social media into each other. Like, integrate all of your social media to be like a real like force. Okay, how does one go about creating their rates? How much is a fair and decent amount? I've heard so many different formulas about creating rates. I
That's
can't
a
tell.
big question, a big question.
I can't tell you how to create your rates. What I can say is that for me, I look at like, okay, so with my rates, I look at, okay, how much do I spend petrol wise. Okay, getting to this place to go and shoot this content and make this content for you. Then I say, how much would somebody pay to hire a photographer? And then I'm looking at like my time, like I'm still using my time to go and you know, pose in your clothes and like shoot in your clothes. How much would I charge you for my time? So there's so many different factors that I take into consideration, because sometimes you'll think you're charging a lot of money. You'll charge them, let's say 5,000 rand for 3 posts, right? And then you actually realize you didn't make a single profit, because I know people use photographers. The photographers charged you 4,000 rand. You've spent about 200 rand on gas or an Uber getting to where you have to shoot. You still have to go back home, and then you actually make a loss. So I think you've just got to look at your situation. You've got to look at what your expenses are versus how much you want to make. And you know what I have realized is that I used to undercharge, because you're kind of afraid of brands like, hey, geez, guys, it's Mr. Price. Like, what do I charge them? Like, will they say it's too much? My following is not that much. Will they say it's too much? For the mere fact that Mr. Price have approached you, it means that they see the value in working with you, and you need to charge what's gonna make you profit and how much you think you really should be making per post. And once you've figured that out and used all your costs to calculate that, you can definitely negotiate with them. The first offer that they give you isn't the offer that you must take. Like, you can negotiate with them, come to a compromise. If you have to add content, then add content. If you have to subtract some content because it doesn't make financial sense to you to post that much, then subtract it. Like, negotiate according to your situation. I think that's also one thing that I've realized now. Like, people will come with like a deal that's like, not really paying much, and you can say no to deals, guys. And when the right deal comes to you, so they will pay you how much you're worth and how much you believe you're worth. They will pay you because they want you to be on their campaign. So in the beginning, it's a bit harder to like justify a 10,000 rand, check, and you've got like 2,000 followers and your numbers aren't that great, whatever the case may be. But as time goes, you start to realize, like, no, man, I've been undercharging myself, whatever the case may be. There used to be a general rule of thumb that says you must charge 10% of your followers. But then I thought about it. If I've got 1,000 followers, must I charge you 100 rand? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, you've got to charge according to how much you believe you're worth. And if they don't believe you're worth that much, ask them for a counter offer. So, yeah.
To go back on rates as well, I think this is why it's important for people to join influencer agencies like Style ID, because we sit and we do the research on what the rates should be for the different tiers of influencers. Again, something that we mentioned in the previous webinar is that influencer marketing is extremely new. It's not like modeling where there is a union in place or things that you can actually go online and check exactly what are the usage fees to be on TV or whatever. So we're all in this ball game together trying to figure it out. But we are doing the research for you, especially if you're new. And again, like we mentioned before, Saladi is for the people. We're not trying to screw you over in any way. So joining an influencer agency in the beginning to help you with getting your rates to where we feel that it's fair for you and the brand is important. And we're trying to pioneer exactly the dictation of rates for influencers and trying to understand that this industry is not going anywhere and it needs to be taken seriously, like being a model or like being an actor in South Africa.
Yeah. Just to touch on that as well, like, I think influencer agencies are going to create value for influencers. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of value in being with the influencer agency. They will take care of you guys. Like, they will really look out for you and make sure you don't get screwed over, because like, if you are TK who's got 1,000 followers and really good content, whatever the case may be, and a Mr. Price comes, it can be intimidating sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
you won't negotiate what you're worth. You'll just sort of accept what they give you. But if you're with an agency or anybody who's dealing with you, that's where like they will negotiate for you, get you a fair rate, and then you'll have something that's worth your time. So yeah. Um, what if you're just starting out and you don't have any brands on your media kit? You don't have to put them on. You don't have to put any brands on a media kit. You can just have a media kit, summarize yourself, sell yourself as much as you can. You don't have to have brands that you've worked with on your media kit. If I send it out to a PR agency and they see that, wow, this person's content is really good, they see the potential in my growth, they'll take you on board. Like, there's no reason why they wouldn't take you on board, because there's also campaigns that are, tailored to people with like 1,000 followers or 1,500 followers. So there's definitely space for everybody. And I think just take the initiative and definitely send your media kits, guys. That's the best advice I can give you with regards to like being a small influencer and you really want to grow your brand. Send your media kits out. There will be campaigns for you and you will make money. Can one start sending out media kits when they have like 1,000 followers? 100%. Make the media kit, send it, guys. I don't think I can stress this enough. Like, I'm seeing people are so stressed out about media kits, but send your media kits, guys. You can have 500 followers and good content. You can have 200 followers and good content. Send your media kit out. Like, you don't know what somebody's gonna see in you, and I think like a lot of the times, like being an influencer and having a relationship with an agency, it's also like somebody seeing potential in you. Like, you don't have to be the finished product. You don't have to be like completely amazing at what you're doing already. Like, somebody can actually just see like, oh wow, okay, this is interesting. This is a different take in like the space. Let me go with this person, give this person, the benefit of the doubt, and you guys cultivate a relationship over that. So send your media kits. What's your opinion on posting videos on Instagram? 100% do it. So my IGTV performs way better than my photos or anything that I put there. I think people are looking for that connection with people. People like, if I put out a video, the value of like videos is, you in a photo you see me wearing Nike Air Forces, right? In a video I'm telling you 3 different ways you can style Nike Air Forces. Like, there's so much value in a video, and having creative videos, or 3 shoes that every person should have in their closet is so much better than a still picture that I'm posting on Instagram. Like, it's just more interactive. It's giving you more value. You're looking at like, oh wow, I can actually do something this way, I can do something that way, or it's a different like take and a lot more closer to home to you, um, and a lot more personal. And I think people are actually looking for personal connections. I mean, we're social beings, so it only makes sense that when somebody's talking, you're gonna listen, especially if it's somebody that you like or somebody that has content that you like. You're gonna listen. So yeah, definitely post on
I have a
Insta.
question in regards to IGTV. So you are on YouTube and as well as putting video content on IGTV. Obviously on YouTube, you're able to monetize your videos through the YouTube platform. YouTube pays you for them to host their ads on their videos. So now someone who is starting out to produce video content, would you suggest for them to um, use their IGTV and their YouTube? Because does IG Instagram does not monetize the videos where they're putting ads as of yet. I don't know if it will ever happen, but is it somewhere where you feel that, okay, maybe IGTV is somewhere to just repost your creative outlet, but having a YouTube is important for your monetary value and trying to build your brand money wise?
So here's what I did. Was I saw IGTV as a great stepping stone to YouTube. Like, I don't wanna go onto YouTube and then post videos that look unprofessional and I look very nervous and all of that stuff. I use my Instagram to be nervous because you guys know I create like good enough content that you guys like really enjoy, whatever the case may be. So now I'm starting it's a lot easier for me to be vulnerable with you guys because we know each other, like, what's up? So, you know, like it's a lot easier for me to be like vulnerable with people that I'm, you know, familiar with versus going to start on a completely new platform that I don't know how it works and all of that stuff. I've never edited a video. I've never put something together. So now why would I go and start that on YouTube? So I used IGTV as a stepping stone to like really learn how to edit and really learn like how to put a video together. Like what are the, you know, what are the different things that I need to do in a video to come across. Like how do I put my, it's very like nerve-wracking, like being in front of a camera and talking versus being in front of a camera and taking a still. So, you know, how do I let my personality come? How do I get comfortable with the camera in that space? So that was like really, really important for me to start with IGTV and then basically end up on YouTube whenever I end up on YouTube or when I'm comfortable enough to be on YouTube. Okay, I think I might have missed this, but how do you make money out of this? How do I ensure that I get paid what I should be getting and not getting ripped off? And secondly, how do I get a brand to use me as their face or influence their products? Okay.
I think you did touch on this throughout the webinar.
Yeah, it is on the webinar. So
If she
if you
did
do,
miss it, we will post this webinar on our YouTube channel, and you can just go
yeah,
back and yeah.
I think you can just go find that on the YouTube video when it goes up. But yeah, basically the crux of it is that like if you are afraid that you're going to be getting ripped off, partner up with an influencer agency, a PR company, or whatever the case may be. They'll take care of you. They'll make sure you don't get ripped off and give you like what you believe you're worth, because sometimes you can actually speak to them and speak about your rates or send them your rate card and then you'll negotiate from there. So yeah. Okay, I've been finding it very difficult to come up with rates for my rate card. Is there any advice that you okay? Once again, that's something that's in the video. So Style ID will post it on their YouTube and you can just find it there. So yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is something else with regards to rates. It's on the YouTube video. I think you can just watch that, you know, on the
I
Style
do
ID.
see a question from Tato, which I think is very interesting. He says, "Is it necessary to speak English where you post your videos when you tongue tied? When you are tongue tied?" I'm assuming
No.
because we, I mean, what's her name? Matladi became super famous on YouTube because she did a whole makeup tutorial in Xhosa. And that is the differentiating factor that you've been talking about throughout this webinar is
Yeah.
what can I do? Number one, we are South Africans. Number one, we are Africans. So bring that African element. Otherwise, we're going to be the same as all the United States, the Netherlands, the UK influences. So bring that authenticity of Africa to your content because the planet really loves Africa right now.
I think if you've seen, I just forgot her handle now. I think she's Kenyan. She's got like really, really funny videos, and she like incorporates like
Yeah.
her language and everything. So like
And she's
guys,
got a MAC deal as well, Mac's Cosmetics deal.
so,
Mm.
so guys, like look, you know who you are. Why do you want to project an image that's not really you? Like, you know, I think that's part of what I was saying about the pressures of like social media. I think it can drive you away from who you are, and I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, because you know, like, you are who you are, guys. Like, put your content out how you feel you want to put your content out. If it doesn't reflect who you are, if now your friends are going to see this video and be like, "Haibo tato like, when did you start, you know, speaking English and all of that stuff?" Then, you know, like, okay, like, you're switching up. Like, guys, be who you are. Like, be as close to who you are as possible. Be as authentic as you can to yourself. Like, that'll really, really help you translate. You just look more comfortable. You're more comfortable in who you are. Like, it's, guys, be who you are. Don't search up for social media. It's not necessary.
I'm just going to
um
help you as well with reading these questions. So Nondumiso asked, what's the minimum number of followers one must have in order to be taken by an agency? So the beauty of Style ID is that we concentrate on nano micro influences. The macro influencers got their people, they've got their agencies. I think that they're low key on the way out. So people are really looking towards nano and micro influencers right now to get their brand message across because people really relate to them. So in terms of minimum numbers, we do not have minimum numbers. We really just want to see authentic, creative, diverse people that really have an influence with their community, whether that is 500 followers or that is 50K followers. As long as you're great at what you do and you're passionate about what you do, Saladi will sign you on to be part of the agency. I don't
Yeah,
know if you
also
have.
the number of followers that you have doesn't always determine your value. Your value isn't down to you having 500,000 followers, guys. Your value is in your content. And if people are really engaging with your content, and I think that's what happens with Nano and with micro influencers, like people really, really engage. Like they really want to talk about what you're doing and they really want to find out where you got things and stuff. Like that's where the value is. The value is in conversion. I think, you know, everybody's trying to sell a product anyway. We're using influencers. So obviously the sales of it and how interested people are in the product is going to be what the value is. So yeah, you know, like you don't have to have a minimum number or a maximum number. So yeah. Um there's some questions on the chat as well, like a
Yeah.
lot.
We also have questions from IG that we need to get through. I mean, people, if you're still here with us and you're still enjoying this webinar, feel free to stay. I don't know, TK, if you've got something to do. I personally don't because it's lockdown. But feel free to stay and ask your questions. We're here to help. Ooh, Sonia asks, what are the main red flags to look out for with the wrong influencer agency?
Red flags for me is when one, you get very, like when I send a agency my rate card and then they start getting very tense, or like you starting to say like, oh, but we don't think, or don't you think this is too high, then I don't even like want to work with that agency because you don't see my value the same as I do. Like we can communicate like that completely different in saying that, okay, this is our budget, this is what we can do, so what are you willing to do? Then I say, okay, I can take one post off of the campaign, so instead of four I'll post three, or you know, come to some form of resolution. But then now when I send you my rate card and you're telling me like this is too high, don't you think you're being ambitious, blah blah blah, that's when I don't work with any brands, because like the value that I give isn't being seen the same, because obviously I've worked it out based on my expenses and all of that stuff. And the least that they can do is like meet you halfway. So if they don't want to meet you halfway and they're talking funny, like, you know, very, like they're very stanced in how they're speaking, then I don't think you should be working with agencies that do have those type of stances. Red flags in an agency. um how like real are they? Can you verify that they're real? um you know, do you go on their website and find stuff that's real? Are there testimonials? Is, you know, have people worked with them? That type of thing, you've got to look at that stuff, because you can get ripped off out there, guys. There's people trying to hack into your Instagram accounts and all of that stuff.
I think, yeah, also just asking your peers, have you heard of this agency? Have you
Mm,
worked with them? Is a good
mm,
way to see if they are legit. But I think what you answered in terms of red flags, that's a very interesting question. I don't think I've seen that question before. Maybe because we work for an authentic style ID agency. I do have, I see some few style ID questions. Anonymous attendee asked, how do you sign up for Style ID? Just go to www.styleid.co.za and you'll see an influencer tab and you just click register and then we'll be in communication with you. Is there a fee you need to pay when you are joining an agency? For Style ID, it's completely free. For other agencies, I have no idea. I think it would be really weird, as well as a red flag, if you do have to pay to join something.
Charging you
Mm.
to be.
I think that also goes across if you are joining a modeling agency or a talent agency. I don't think there should be a fee. I think there
Yeah.
should be maybe some type of commission that could be taken out, but joining one up front, I don't think there should be a fee, and Sayari doesn't have one.
Yeah.
Someone's asking, Sonia asked, what are the best goals to set if I want to be a more relatable influencer? I don't want to be an influencer who just promotes random stuff.
So I think there's like many different things that somebody can influence. Like you can, like there's Rati Likalakala who influences so many different vegan products and all of that stuff. Like I think if 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 you want to set goals that are in line with your passions, what you really believe, what you really want to do. I know Sonia's like really amazing at like fashion design and all of that stuff. So it would maybe a goal could be like putting more of your design work out, or putting, you know, exposing people into the world of design. We don't really have that type of influencer out here. Like, you know, there's many different goals that you can set. I think you have to look at yourself. How much content can you create in a week? How much um like what type of content can you create in a week? Sonia's able, she makes like really good content. Shout out to Sonia. So yeah, you just have to like look at yourself, see what you can and can't do, what you want to expose people to as well.
Mhm.
Kind of goal setting. Time frames is also a good way to set goals. Like I want X and X by when.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Tato asked, during this lockdown, everyone is stuck at home and stuck taking selfies. What tips would you give to beginners who are trying to create more creative content during this pandemic?
Jeez, guys, there's so much content to create at home. Um,
Yep.
uh, I think, show us what you eat in a day. Like, what are you doing during lockdown? Give us a video of like a day in my life during lockdown. Like, yeah, like style clothes and what do you use in a day? Like, what products do you use in your skin routine? What products do you use to flip and shower? Like you can really speak on so many different things. I think people are just like having a creative block because this whole lockdown situation is so negative. I've had a creative block myself. So, it's one of those where you just have to think out of the box, really sit down, write down a bunch of content ideas and start executing. So, what I've done is basically just do a few 5 essential shoes that everybody should have. I've done a posing tutorial for people that like want to be um influencers, or there's many different things that you can do, many different avenues that you can pursue. I think also have a look at like what other people are doing, and maybe that'll guide you in terms of like what sort of content. Don't copy people, but like have a look at like what they're doing, what I can do, how you can do it in a different way. So yeah, there's a lot of content to be made. I think it's just sitting down and actually doing the brainstorming is going to be like your life if you want to be a content creator slash influencer. Like you're going to brainstorm a lot.
Just want to touch base on that question. This is what I want to iterate when I say, are you an influencer or not? So
Yeah.
being stuck, okay, obviously, let's take away this pandemic. If you're someone that takes selfies over and over again, you're not an influencer. If you cannot think about ways to create content to show to your audience, then maybe this is not something that is for you. You don't want a situation where you are going to the idol stage and you can't sing, but your mom said that you can sing. Really take a step and think about whether you are someone who can create content in a very authentic and an amazing way that can be leveraged by brands. Think about that and then see if you are someone who is an influencer. Because you'll be wasting your time if you think that influencer marketing and influencer industry is about getting free stuff and getting paid to take pictures. Because we
Yeah.
can see through that nonsense. and you just won't get far doing that. So really take everyone that's on this panel right now, take a second to think, am I actually an influencer or do I just want free things?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry, I just saw like, how do you reinvest in yourself so that you don't run dry? And what do you do with the clothes? Because most people wear clothes once, if you wear them once, because I think that can break one's bank. So, okay, like with fashion influencing, I think what I try to do is style one item as many ways as I can. Like, guys, like this thing of you've worn this item once and then now you can't wear it again because we've seen it is like is rubbish, because like there's so many different ways to upcycle, to restyle, and it's also just more in line with sustainable, like not sustainable fashion, but like sustainable influencing, where you kind of just have to, if it's not in your means to buy five jackets in a week so that you can wear different jackets every day in the week, why wouldn't you then style those things in different ways? And also don't break bank that you can't break, guys. Like, if you've got the money, great, go and spend the money. If you don't, don't. Like, don't be so under pressure that you have to be buying new things all the time. I think just style it as many different ways as you can. There's things that I've worn 15 times on my Instagram, in different ways, and that's also part of being a creative. Like, you've got to think within your means, like deal with what you have, and make content with what you have.
We're going to read the questions that have just come in from the Q&A, and then so that we can be able to get to the chat ones and the Instagram questions.
Okay.
There's just like a few left.
Okay.
We've got, is there a difference between a fashion model and an influencer? Yes. There's Tyra Banks, and then there's TK. But basically, a fashion model, it's obviously got to do with your height, your build, and they are using you as a mannequin to showcase whatever the brand is. And then an influencer is someone who is driving influence to purchase, having certain buying power. And then also just being authentic and showcasing, it can be anyone, it can be any size, it can be any color. Anyone can be an influencer. I think fashion model is more, has different specs of body type.
Yeah, I think I had a chat with my girlfriend last night about like um what an influencer actually is. I think it's just somebody who drives thought, like you're a thought provoker, like you sell off of thoughts, like people thinking that, oh, okay, that person's wearing this, I want that. Versus a model who, like, you are really pretty, you built really well, you'll look great in our clothes, we need to use you for our covers, or we need to use you on a spread, or whatever the case may be, we need you. So yeah, I think it's two completely different things. So yeah, I'm reading a comment. I don't know if you've heard or seen this anywhere from Tati. Oh, hi, Tati. I know Tati. She's really great. If you've seen or heard this anyway, but TikTok is so notorious for its racism. How do you feel about that? I know we live in a majority black country, so this might not happen in SA. I find of supporting the platform and why. Seen that. Um, yeah, I've seen that. I don't know if you've seen how many racist TikToks and all of that have been like exposed and all of that stuff. Um, ooh, tough question. Like, are you fine with supporting that? Um, because it's so notorious on TikTok. I wouldn't um on a personal level, I wouldn't support it. Um, but I also think like we live in a very um bad society towards black people. So, we have to fight that as much as we can. And, if we have to dominate the space and be in the space, then maybe that's what it will take. Like as many Black TikTokers from South Africa being there, and being present to dominate the space, then maybe that's what will help. But yeah, very tough question. I don't know how to answer that. Because there's one side of it, the economic side of it, where it might get monetized and you might actually make a living from it. But then there's the other side of it of like, it's very racist. People are, suffering racial attacks on TikTok. So do you support that? Do you look at yourself, or do you look at the bigger picture? Yeah, I don't know. Tough question. Tough
This is a
question.
very tough question. I think everywhere in any space there's racism because that's the capitalist world that we live in. I think it's up to you whether you want to support an app or not. It also depends on what content are you going to be putting out, what content are you going to engage with. You can always tailor what you have to see. I follow certain people on Instagram, so that's the content that I'm going to see. I mean, if we took that question across many different platforms, then you would have no platforms to support. Because Instagram's got its issues, Facebook's got its big racism issues. So it's a very difficult question, but I think it's just see what you want to see, create what you want to see, and then create what you would like to be put out there into the world. There's a question here. It said, oh, I missed it. I don't know. Anyway, so we've got some other questions. The first one is, what is your feelings on commission-based work? For instance, if a brand, if a brand says that you would get commission of people buying from your code or discount code, anything like that.
I personally feel like you're being ripped off. Like, there's so many unknowns to that. That is it worth the risk of two people buying the shirt and you get 50 rand? Or, is it worth that? No, I don't think it's worth it. Like, I'm not gonna, I'll answer two questions at once. I see another question with trade exchanges.
Oh.
No, like, if I'm not getting paid what my rate card says I'm worth, then no, like, I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take something on commission and make 50 rand off of it when I've made you content. I'm not going to take two skippers and a game, and then you want me to make that content for you for free. Like,
Rock bottom with the crab.
no, I'm not going to.
Definitely hear that. I think when starting out, if a brand approaches you or you approach a brand, maybe it's a small business that you really enjoy their product, I think it could work. Also, if it's something where you're trying to build your portfolio of how you are showcasing brands so that you can put that onto your media kit, I think it could work. But I think when you come to a stage within yourself, when you know that you're producing good work and you know that your followers are stands for you and they really enjoy your work, then that is a time when you can say, this is my rate card. And that's that. But I think in your beginning process, there's a time where you can do a trade exchange.
Yeah, I think I took that approach when I was beginning as well. I kind of, just took a few free jobs, whatever the case may be. I mean, the first year where I did all of this, I didn't get paid the whole year, I guess. I only really got paid like last year, like beginning to like towards the end of the first quarter of last year. And I regret that the most. Like, guys, I personally just encourage anybody, just get paid for what you're doing. Like, at the end of the day, writing a product. Like, even if I say, guys, I want 250 rand for what I'm doing, not the same as me not getting anything back.
The
And I think
principle, I guess, yeah.
and people must also teach themselves that element of like, I need to negotiate. Like, you've got to fight for every check that you've got. Like, everybody who approaches you, you must pay you. Like, it has to be worth your time, because like, if you get like, fine, the exchanges and everything sometimes do work out. Like, if it's a small brand and you really like the person, you know the person, you guys have had interactions, whatever the case may be, fine. You can get away with that. But now if it's a Mr., let me not mention their name, if it's a that's coming to you and they're saying like, okay, we want to give you 1,500 rand worth of product. Do you realize that like you get the product, they give you a voucher to get the product, you spend that voucher in their store, like you're buying something but you're just giving them the money they gave you back. So you've got to find a way to also get paid. Like guys, everybody's trying to get paid. And if you're accepting free jobs, you're also kind of letting everybody else down. You're letting brands think that they can take advantage of other people that are starting out, or brands think that they can give you clothes and that it's enough for you, you know, whereas other people might not feel that way. But if we create a culture where people accept free things, it's going to be very difficult to dig ourselves out of that hole when it's time to demand pay, or demand higher pay.
Mm-hmm.
um so free work and letting them pay you very little and all of that stuff damages like everything we're trying to do, because we're trying to have influencers get paid, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, double agent. I don't know.
I'm going to read 4 questions and then we're going to sign off. I think this was a very interesting one from Anonymous. Hi, Anonymous. I don't know who Anonymous is. Um, I feel like there's more potential to my capabilities. I've been trying to unlock it for 2 years now. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Oh, that's not a question. I think you just
Okay.
need to tap into your self confidence.
Yeah.
That's really tap into that. I think we can also, if you have any concerns, any mental health concerns, reach out to people that you feel comfortable with. You can also reach out to Style ID if you want to talk about it on an influencer agency, influencer industry point of view. We're definitely able to help. It's a very, like you said earlier in the webinar, the pressures in the mental space needs to be like, it's very hard in social media. So definitely reach out to us and we can have a one-on-one chat about that. And I think that TK will have his DMs open for you as well to talk about that further as well. So there was a question about age. Oh, there's one. Okay, no wonder said, can age be a problem when working with brands? Because I'm 17 and really passionate about content creating and fashion, but I second guess myself because I think I'm too young. Is age a problem?
100% no, it depends. Like, I mean, I'd be more worried if you said you're 17 and interested in alcohol, whatever the case may be. They're not going to work with you. They don't even work with me. They're looking at like 25-year-olds and up. So, you know, like age is not a problem, for as long as you're working with things that are within the law for your age. Fashion is completely fine. In fact, I think it's amazing that you're starting so young, um, because, you know, give yourself 2-3 years, you'll be like a big deal by then. Um, you know, considering that you consistent and all of that stuff. So no, age is not a problem. Unless you want to be like promoting tobacco products or alcohol products, they'll obviously have a problem with that, or nudity or stuff like that. Like, you know, yeah.
Yeah. Promote things that are interesting to 17-year-olds. You know, talk to your audience.
Yeah.
Um, Someone on Instagram has asked, how to stay creative and authentic during COVID-19 with limited venues to shoot at.
You don't always have to be outside to shoot. I think we're all adapting to this. What's gonna be very, very good to see now is a lot of video content. I started seeing a lot of video content soon as lockdown started hitting. People were like onto video content, and that's because you're in your home, you're in your comfort zone. You know, like
Lots of IG lives always popping up on the side there. So
lives,
many.
everything is just like video based because you're in your house. Like there's nothing much you can do except for be on a live or creating video content. There's only so many stills that you can take in your lounge, and there's only so many stills you can take in your kitchen. So a lot of the content, lots of flat lays that I've been seeing, like people taking pictures of their food and like their clothes and all of that stuff. So yeah, there's content to be made, guys, at home. I think you've just got to sit and really, really think, how can I be creative? How do I not let my creative energy die in this time? Because if you don't build like some momentum now, it's gonna be very difficult to get back into it if they let us out, let's say in August or November, like get back into that creative space and getting used to making content on a daily basis. It's gonna take you time. So I think keeping that momentum is one important thing that I'm gonna personally try and do. Um, and I don't think you should be like falling off of that creative energy.
Mm-hmm. How can you reach out to other influencers for advice?
Reaching out to other influencers. I've had a lot of people like say like, let's say you reply to a DM, you're like, oh my word, like I can't believe you replied, blah blah blah, and I'm like, do people not reply to you guys, or
So the
or
Beyonce, yo.
like just send the DM. If they reply, they reply. If they don't, they don't. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Also, another thing is if you really want advice, um, you shouldn't be looking at an influencer sometimes. Just research something. Search the topics you want to find out. Like, what do you want to find out from an influencer that Google can't tell you? Google will tell you.
Guys, just to talk on that one, do your Googles. It's very important. A lot of people are very busy. That's number one. Number two, a lot of people get a lot of questions in their DMs on their emails, whether it's an influencer or an influencer agency. If you want to come with a question, make sure you've researched it to the point where you couldn't find the answer for yourself. And then come and talk to somebody so that they can actually give you an answer. Because again, people are busy. So that's probably why sometimes people might not reply back to you. So don't have this open-ended question where you haven't done any research. So do your Google.
Yeah.
And then, oh yes?
No, I'm saying 100%. Like, yeah.
This last question says, we got this in an email. I've seen people say that having more than one social media account that you create content on is important to help you succeed in the industry. Is it possible to succeed with only one? To be specific, only Instagram. So I guess this goes back to what you had talked about.
Yes. There are people who've got like Twitter, and their Twitter is like not really like something they, consider something that they use. And they have YouTube. They've got Instagram, which is like their main thing. 100% can just succeed on one thing. I think Instagram, in terms of getting jobs, has been the place where I get most. So yeah, you more likely to succeed off of Instagram than make money off Twitter promo or make money off of like YouTube. YouTube takes a lot of time to make like good money. So, yeah, like Instagram, you can have one platform and you'll be perfectly fine. You'll do really well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's all the questions.
All right. I hope it was beneficial to some people. I hope people found it like really good.
Very insightful. Very, very insightful.
Yeah, I think people must just really not be afraid to pursue certain things. Like if you feel like you want to do something, just go and do it. Like don't be afraid. Don't question things too much. I think thinking yourself out of something is very possible. So all of these doubts and all of this, you can definitely deal with this as as time goes. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for one of the most insightful webinars on influencer marketing. I think it was very authentic. I think you answered questions truthfully, which is what we need. We don't need the fluff. You don't need to sell us lies and sell us dreams. So I think it was very informative, especially with the struggles that you've gone through and etc. Please can you tell the people where to find you?
Okay. My Instagram is TEEKAAY.m. So it's at TK .m. My Twitter is TK Matakanye, TKMATAKANYE. And my YouTube, there's two YouTube channels. There's one called Fine Soda, and there's one that is LNT with my girlfriend.
Awesome.
So
Thank you so much. To those asking, you can sign up to Style ID if you are anyone, if you're an influencer in the whole of Africa. We take anyone from the African continent. You can be from any city in South Africa. You can be of any legal age. By legal age, I mean if you hosting content on Instagram, there is a age restriction for people to use Instagram. So make sure you are of that age. And join us. You can go to www.styleid.co.za in order to register to be an influencer and just get more information. We are constantly putting out blogs, YouTube, newsletters on information about the industry. And so just tap in and get some knowledge, guys. Learning is key, especially during this time. And then please follow us on our social media. On Instagram, it is at style_ID_Africa. And on Facebook, it's Style ID Africa.
yeah. Also, sorry. Just one more. If you guys do have any questions that I didn't answer or we didn't get to answer, I'll put a questions tab on my Instagram and you can just ask there and I'll be more than happy to answer questions.
Awesome, awesome. That's a great idea. Thank you so much. I think this was epic.
Right, cool. Enjoy, Leander. Have a great time indoors.
Definitely, it's gonna be so much fun. It's gonna be a bash.
Okay, bye-bye.
Everyone, thank you so much for attending. This was super awesome. You guys have amazing questions. Good luck on your content. Sign up to Style ID and follow TK for more info.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.